This lesson provides an overview of the new Bitlocker network unlock functionality. This was introduced in Windows Server 2012, and its goal is to enable machines that are Bitlocker encrypted to not have to have any user interaction to boot, but still provide additional security beyond just the TPM. The way this functionality essentially works is, as the server turns on, it sends a modified DHCP request over the network, where your Bitlocker network unlock server will perform an encryption process. It actually decrypts the key that is sent by the Bitlocker network unlock client from its TPM, decrypts it and sends it back to that machine in a protected format, so it can then access the full volume encryption key and continue to boot. So this means for this server or desktop to be able to start, it must be able to communicate to the network unlock server and therefore must be on the corporate network. So when we consider the typical TPM only protects a disk being removed from a machine and access, what this enables you to have protection from is someone taking the entire computer or server from a location. Only if this machine is on the network will it be able to be unlocked. Now, there are some fairly strict requirements for this functionality to function. Firstly, it requires a UEFI machine. This is the BIOS replacement that's only available in the newest machines today. And that UEFI firmware must support UEFI DHCP capability. This will restrict its use, but over the next couple of years, this should become a lot more common. If you do have a UEFI machine, you're using a compatibility support module or CSM, this must be turned off because when you enable the CSM, it makes the UEFI act as if it's really a BIOS, so removes the UEFI functionality. You have to enable the Bitlocker network unlock feature on a server that has Windows deployment services installed. Now, you don't have to have configured WDS, you just have to have it installed because the network unlock feature uses the Pixie provider that is part of Windows deployment server. So this is enabled very, very easily. Manage, add roles and features. It's a feature. And you would enable Bitlocker network unlock. And it's actually going to tell me, hey, you don't have Windows deployment services. Should I enable these as well? I'm going to cancel that so I don't actually perform the installation. But that's what's required. You must have a DHCP server on the network to provide the IP address. And this only works for Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012. There are some certificates you have to have configured for this to work, as I talked about. The way this works behind the scenes is there is actually a key that is encrypted in the TPM that is sent over to this network unlock server, which decrypts it and then sends that decrypted key back to the server to actually use to access that full volume encryption key. And you leverage group policies to configure this. There's a lot of moving parts to this functionality. The good news is that document I referred you to earlier about the Windows 8 beta has detailed step-by-step guidance of actually how you would configure this. So here is that document in the Configuring Network Unlock section. This talks about installing WDS, confirm it's running, installing the network unlock feature, create the certificates, and it's talking you through how you actually do that. Deploying those keys to the WDS server. So remember, we talked about public and private keys. So the private key is accessed by the WDS server, and the data you're sending to it would be encrypted with that public key. Going to configure group policy to enable this certificate to be used, so it has that public key available. Configure as required, and now you're all done. So it talks through step by step every part of actually configuring this. So if this is something you want to try in your environment, if you do have UEFI machines, so that is going to be the restriction for most people, but certainly look through this, look at all the screenshots, and this will give you an idea of what is that complete process. You would think about using this if you wanted protection for your servers or desktops so they could boot without any user interaction, provided they were connected to your corporate network. Because they were removed from the corporate network, this would not function and your volumes, those disks, would be fully protected. This completes the lesson on network unlock.